What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MindShare PodCast. This show is sponsored by Kits Keep In Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals, as well as REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. Learn more about our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of my book, The Ultimate Marketing Bundle, as well as learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 243. He is the founder and chief innovation officer at TetraNoodle Technologies, an elite AI consulting company. With a remarkable track record of driving transformative change, he has touched at least 10 million lives and generated over $500 million in value through his expertise in technology and AI. He has shared his insights at the United Nations alongside distinguished figures like the Secretary General and Nobel Peace Prize winners, while President Barack Obama and Bill Gates have recognized his work. With 4 AI patents to his name, he is the perfect mentor to guide us through the transformative potential of AI and its benefits for businesses. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is the AI expert, Manoj Agarwal. Manoj, welcome to the MindShare podcast.
Wow, that was an amazing intro. Thank you so much. Excited to be here. Thank you.
It is. I'm excited to have you here. You know, and I got to set the stage right now because when you and I had first met a number of months ago, we had no idea who each other were. We were, in Dallas together, and we started talking about just AI, and I jumped out and basically said something along the lines of like, no, I don't like all this copywriting. I don't like the fact that people are just using it and putting their name on stuff. And there's all this hype around Chat GPT, the content creation. I think people are just using what a machine wrote and I didn't think any of it was valid. Mm-hmm. And at the end, like I said, at the time, and everybody has to understand, I had no idea what Manoj actually did for a living. So here I am going off about AI. And then I think for the next 3 hours of my life, I got, all jokes aside now, the most amazing education on AI, the possibilities of AI. You had at one point said to me something like, think about if we had not adopted the wheel. Uh-huh. And I thought, oh my God. And it just the light bulb went off. And anyhow, that's what I'd like to accomplish here today, is to try to take everybody through a similar journey of what I did when I met you that day. So maybe I open up and just say flat out, what is AI?
Sure. AI is basically a way to supercharge our minds. Okay. So since, we talked about the wheel and all the inventions, all the discoveries put together that humans have discovered, they have been designed to enhance our physical abilities. Okay. So the car is going to make you go faster. The crane is going to help you lift heavier weights. But so far, there hasn't been a true invention that has enhanced our cognitive power. Okay. And basically, our mind is a pattern recognition machine. And that's how humans evolved. So let's take a quick example. Let's say, there's a child, 7-year-old child. That child needs to touch a hot stove only once for his mind to recognize that, hey, this is not a good thing to do. It hurts me. But now if we put the child in the middle of Antarctica, he has heat-resistant gloves on. There's, wind chill flowing, and it's really, really chilly out there. And now the child touches the stove, hot stove, it actually feels pleasant. And now the mind, even at 7-year-old, understands, oh, there are 3 new data points here. I need to learn from that, and I need to say, okay, in what situation it is okay to touch the hot stove, and in what situation it is not okay. And now the mind is learning. But now extrapolate that to bigger problems, we want to find cure for cancer, we want to create a vaccine, we want to predict the weather, we want to understand the stock market. There are millions and millions of parameters in these real world problems, and our human mind, no matter how smart you are, is not capable of comprehending more than 12 to 15 variables. And if we are talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of variables, there's no way we can really understand what's going on. And audience may recognize this quote, like, people have said that humans only use about 10% of our ability, our cognitive ability. And that stems from this reason, because we are not even able to absorb the stimulus that is being produced in the world around us. But machines are very capable of digesting tons and tons of data, like petabytes of data. I'm talking about libraries full of data, and then looking at these minute patterns and seeing exactly what is going on in nature, in the universe. And those are the insights then the humans can sort of use their creativity, use their imagination to get these insights from AI, and then build some amazing things that were not possible before. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And something that struck me as you were saying this, and I don't know that this part came up in the conversation you and I had originally had, but it makes sense as you brought it up. But then I beg the question, because you said something about a solution to cancer per se, and I'm gonna roll with that. I'm gonna take that one and I'm gonna double it down with the problem that we have of billions of people going hungry. Is there a way to leverage this? Because I mean, when we look at guys like Warren Buffett, who've said they could like literally flip a switch and solve world hunger tomorrow, it begs the question of why they're not doing it with all the money that they've got, with the, that generational wealth. We've got people in this world, athletes that are making ridiculous amounts of money. And again, I realize that that's not an AI thing. I just bring that up to say there are ways to solve this. People are not putting the money forward for it, or maybe they are and it's going to the wrong places. Can AI help us actually solve this? And if it can, why are we not leveraging that right now?
Absolutely, it can. Absolutely, it can. And let's just quickly touch upon, why are wealthy not doing enough? I feel like they are doing as much as they can. We all think that people have spare money lying around. But as we all know, as we grow wealthy, our expenses also grow accordingly. So, let me put some real world examples in place. See, food and hunger, it's basically, again, an equation of supply and demand, right? So when we look at our food system, there are a lot of inefficiencies in the food system. The yields per hectare are not as they're not growing at the rate as the population is growing. The nutrition in the food is not getting higher. But you will see that you may have read some inventions coming through lately, which is lab grown meat. Now there's a lot of controversy around that, but then you will also hear things like plant-based meat substitutes. You will also I can tell you there are active projects today where AI is being used to really scan each inch of a farm and then optimize the amount of water each inch takes needs. Wow. The amount of sunlight it takes, the angle at which things need to be planted, the way that the sun, those what do you call it? Those enclosures in which you grow these plants. How do they need to be structured? All of this stuff is being highly optimized using AI. So the work is being done. The results are coming in slowly, but you just don't read them in the newspapers until there is a massive breakthrough.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So that is coming, but as everything, it takes time. But let me assure you that people who are in the know, who are involved in these things, in every sector, things are happening, things are moving forward.
It's interesting to hear that, and it's refreshing to hear that, for sure, that we're leveraging AI in a number of different sectors, and probably every sector out there now. And I probably beg to say that the slowdown really comes from a lot of regulations around the government, but regardless, not the high level of today's topic. I just wanted to get it because I know you're a wealth of info. And in fact, I would ask you this because as I will transition the conversation here and set the stage for who the audience is, in general, all of us, when we're trying to grow a business, when we're trying to grow a brand, when we're trying to get our name out there, when we're trying to get better known and just maybe do more business, we work hard and we believe that we've got the knowledge and the maybe the infrastructure around us to make it happen. That said, it's harder for others than it is, it's harder for most than it is for some. Growth is a tough thing to achieve, and when we look at how much knowledge you've got around AI, and later in the show I'll ask you like where this comes from, but how did you get in front of the likes of like the United Nations and President Barack Obama and Bill Gates? Why are these guys? How? I shouldn't say why, because I know the answer to why based on the knowledge you've got, but maybe to share with all of our audience. How? Why? Why are they coming to you for all of this knowledge?
Well, I think it's, of course, I will give you my perspective of how it happened.
Yep.
And just like financial advisors have disclaimer, my results may not be replicable for others. But what happened was, I always, I come from very humble background. I used to work in a factory for $2 a day, and from there, I wanted to change my life, of course, but also I wanted to. I recognize the power of technology in that I can write a line of code on my computer, and then that line of code impacts millions of other lives. So that's the transformative power of technology. And then I realized that there are a lot of uses of technology. Why not use my skills for making real change for regular people out there? So all the work that I have done, we have in my company, we have strived to focus on education, healthcare, real estate, transportation, these kind of things which really impact regular folks in their day-to-day life. And the impact of that, what happens is when you work on, for example, a system for education, we impacted 5 million students just with one system. It helped them, get better knowledge. We implemented systems where we helped students complete their degree programs, because 30% of the students in higher education institutions in US, they drop out of their degree program in the first 2 years, 30%, right? Wow. So if you can use AI to fix these type of problems, these are things that impact people's lives directly, but also they get noticed by the likes of President Obama and Bill Gates, because their mission is along the same lines to help improve lives of people. So when you align these goals, these missions, these core values, people who share your values, they take notice, right? Now, in my case, it just happened to be like these giant names. And frankly speaking, I didn't even know until it happened. I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that is what I was working on. And when it happened, it was like, that's when it sort of, it puts things in perspective for you. What were you involved in? Because while you're doing it, you don't it's just a regular job, right? A regular project that you're taking on. And after the fact, you realize, oh my God, that was a big impact. So let's keep doing more of that.
Well, so I mean, I would say that it seems like what you were doing was doing the work that you were supposed to be doing, that you felt really mattered out there. And by putting your head down and just doing what you do and putting the effort in, getting the results that you wanted, really being focused and not having any ulterior motive there to connect with these individuals through natural osmosis and just good old hard work, you were able to actually get to that place that, probably didn't even expect to get to with these folks. And then the beauty is, based on the success that you've had around this, because like I said, and so that everybody fully understands, when I first met Manoj, and Manoj, you obviously remember this, but again, it was just two guys that had met at dinner one night. We started talking. God knows where the conversations went. We spent the next 3 hours talking about stuff. And it was like, I had no idea what your level of knowledge was around the concept of AI. Based on our conversation, it was loaded. But then it was the next day when I saw you get up and speak, I was like, that's the guy I was talking to last night. Wait a second. And, I think that there, I guess where I go with that was there was a humbleness about you that it seems like you truly care and you're passionate about what you do. And I think that as everybody understands that that's what people need to be putting forth to their business on a daily basis, that's where growth is going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so tell me this then, because this is one of the other questions I have when we talk about what is AI. Now I'm curious, and I think you might have alluded to this, but where does all the data actually come from? Like, is this me going to Google and just making a search? Is this me putting up a video on YouTube? Is this every time every single one of us contributes online with something that AI that these systems are now have more information to pull from? Can you
All
explain
of
that to us?
Yeah, all of it actually, all of it. So
Okay.
see, AI is the engine and data is the fuel into that engine. So if you want to start a car, you obviously need gas in it, and you can treat data as the gas for AI. And that's why you may have heard these sayings like data is the new oil or data is the new gold. It's because it powers AI systems. And to answer your question, where do we get the data from? It's from all these sources that you mentioned. And in some cases, the data acquisition is actually the big part of the project. So, for example, the project I mentioned before, where we helped students complete their degree program, 80% of that project was just acquisition of data, because you had to negotiate with universities and schools and figure out, okay, where do I get the historical data from? How do I bring it automatically into my system? How do I stage it so that the AI algorithms can learn from it? So the 80% work went into that, and only 20% was actually AI algorithms and all of that stuff. So the idea here is that when you start to work towards a problem, you need to figure out, okay, where do I, let's say if you want to build a house, you need to figure out, okay, where do I get the lumber from? Where do I get the rock sheets from? Where do I get cement from? Blah blah blah. So it's the same thing with AI projects. The first question is, where do I get the data from? It could be from government sources. It could be from municipalities. It could be from partner companies. You have accumulated data in your Google Drive, Dropbox, everywhere. All this is data that can be fed
Wait a
into AI.
second. Are you telling me that my Google Drive is not private?
No, it is private. What I'm saying is,
Not that I really trust Google. I'm just saying.
no, it is completely private. What I'm saying is, let's say if you want to create an AI algorithm for your company,
Right.
you
Okay.
have
I got you.
you probably have accumulated
I got you.
decades of data in your Google Drive, right? And you can use that to optimize your business with AI for your particular business in the privacy of your business, right?
Okay, so simple terms, it's coming from everywhere. These systems have been built to pull and extrapolate data from various sources, or as many sources as they possibly can. Or if it's a business, it could be just very internal sources.
Exactly.
I got that. Okay, cool. So then let's set the stage here and say I'm a salesperson. I have a small business. Maybe I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not in a big organization. This is not career Salesforce. This is not go 9 to 5 and answer to my manager. This is like I've got to run my day to day, and I'm the only one that goes out and hunts. I hunt. I do all the cultivation. Like I've got to do it all. I may have a small team with me, but it's my business. That's the audience we're talking to right now. How can AI help us streamline our day-to-day operations and create more effectiveness for our businesses?
Cool. So let's break down the sales process, right? So
Yep.
anybody who has done sales, they will. I hope you will agree with me. The most difficult part of sales is prospecting.
Absolutely.
All right, because finding that ideal customer, that true fan of yours, is like finding a needle in the haystack, right? And it takes a lot of follow up. It takes a lot of cold calling, cold emailing, blah blah blah. But imagine, and this is possible today, imagine that I spread a little bit of AI pixie dust on you or your sales team, and overnight, you start getting calls booked on your calendar automatically.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty wild. Now, if I said to you, is that getting leads automatically coming through, is that not something very much like, like online lead generation, where they're sending you supposedly these leads that are supposedly hot, that supposedly care, that most people who try it turn around and normally say that it's just the quality is not there whatsoever?
So let me put it in perspective again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So traditionally, things have been done where you run a Facebook ad, you go to a landing page, somebody
Yep.
fills out their email, and then you get a free PDF. But let's change that to now saying this AI sales agent is emailing and contacting your prospects, following up with them 10, 12 times. When they show interest, it actually schedules a demo with your slides, conducts the demo automatically, and then says, hey, you clicked on this link, you saw the demo, I answered your question, the AI is answering the questions, will you be interested in talking to my sales team or my sales manager? If yes, click here. Right, all that tedious stuff of really putting your value proposition in front of the prospect, explaining it to them, answering their questions, that's the most difficult part, because that is what convinces them about the value you are bringing to the table, establishes that trust, establishes that connection. And now all you have to do is like get on a call, just
Mm-hmm.
figure
Mm-hmm.
out the terms of the
Yep.
deal and close the deal. So 80% of your work has been done, and that's the power of AI. Now, how is it different than the Facebook ad scenario? Because in here, AI is actually having a conversation like a human being with another human being. It's not, okay, go to a landing page, input your email address, and hope for the best. It's like an interactive way of guiding you through.
Okay, so hold on. Let's break this down, okay? And because I'm trying to get that like right down to the bare bones, layman's terms, like simple form. Because I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this podcast right now. I'm either watching us live or I'm in my car and I'm driving around. I'm listening to this thing. I'm like, okay, this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. And just as I did that day, like you converted me, I get it now. That's what I'm trying to establish for everybody here. And it's not that I'm trying to convince people to leverage AI. What I'm trying to do is go, it's a hot topic, and the way you had said it to me, and when we go back to the top of even today's show, but this is what you said to me from that, it was like when you compared it to the wheel. I'm going to retract the comment I just made right now about the fact that it's a hot topic. This is not a topic. This is the way the world is going. This is evolution. Would you agree with that? Yes.
It is such a big inflection point in human history that I believe, just like we say there was an era before Christ, BC, 100
Mm-hmm.
100
Yep.
BC,
Yep.
100. I think we are going to start saying 2020 was the year when sort of AI sort of started coming onto the scene, and that was the year of pandemic. So I think we are going to remember as a species these years when everything changed from a thinking era to a post-thinking era. Okay, so we are entering a new age where thinking is no longer rewarded, because
Yeah.
thinking is done by the machines. Okay, there is no way you can outcompete a machine with 1,000 IQ.
Okay, wait. And I'm going to throw this at you because I said this to you that day. I said, but I operate on emotion. I operate on emotion.
Yeah.
That's a very different thing, because when it comes down to a sale, or it says, do I even like you, Manoj? Do I want to talk to you? Are you the guy that I think can do this, sell me this thing or help me with that deal?
Yeah.
I might sit back and say no, just based on emotion. And I threw it out there to you and I said, machine can't do that.
Yeah.
And you said,
yeah. See, emotion is.
Yeah, go ahead. Because I remember what you said to me about it.
Okay.
I mean, anyways, go for it.
So this may not be exactly the same, but see, the emotion aspect of the human realm will stay in our human realm. That is not something that machines can do. They cannot feel, they cannot emote, they cannot express, but they are smart enough to invoke an emotion in the other person by the use of communication. Because at the end of the day, how do we invoke emotions in each other? Through communication, through a conversation. And we as humans, especially after the industrial era, we have not been taught how to communicate properly in our education system. But using AI, you can really transform your communication skills and actually even let AI do the communication on your behalf in such a way that it invokes the right emotion. So I'll give you an example, right?
Mhm.
When you introduced me in the beginning of the podcast,
Yep.
you laid out, some of the accolades and some of the things that I have accomplished. Those were a few sentences, but they were designed to to tell people why they should listen to this person. They were designed to invoke an emotion of trust and credibility. Right now, trust me when I say, uh, all this can be done with AI with very high efficiency and with much more accuracy than you can, even as a gifted writer or a copywriter or a
Mhm.
poet. There is no way you can compete with the massive amount of content that AI can produce. And what we do, especially with my knowledge about the human mind, we personalize AI for everyone, because the generic AI will produce generic content. But
That was
if
the
it
part you had told me about because I know your platform. You had shown me some of the stuff there. There was emotion triggers in there.
Yes. So when you apply these kind of skills, the heart and the mind, and you mix them together, that is like a potent weapon for any business owner, to explore the business. And I will tell you one thing: in the next 10 years, you will see companies going public on NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange with one employee. Okay, one employee who's the CEO. Everything else is handled by AI. That's where we are going.
Wow. Okay. So let's go back now. We're not going public. We're not going to the stock market. We're small business. Okay. I'm going to take us right back there. What is the first thing that you would say to me with my business as this salesperson, small business entrepreneur? What's the first thing I should start doing to leverage AI?
Look at your schedule, see where your time is being spent, what is the outcome that you're getting from that, and look for those repetitive tasks. As small business owners, we have to do all these repetitive tasks. And we all understand one thing: 80% of our revenue comes from 20% of the work that we do, right? The rest of 80% is just tedious, repetitive work. We just have to do it just because there is no way to get around it.
Yep.
Now start to chip away at that 80%, start to automate things, sprint, offload it to AI. What that will do is it will give you your time back, because there is no more precious commodity in this world than your time, your energy.
Yep.
Now you get your time back, and you start to create new revenue streams, because now you are able to service your clients better, you are able to serve them faster, more accurate. So it's an exponential way of getting your life in order, getting your time back, and expanding your business. So start small with all these repetitive tasks, start automating those, and then work your way up.
Okay. So let's throw something out there because I'll say to you, and I'll just say, what if I'm not a techie? What if
Mhm.
I'm what if I just don't have patience for all this stuff? Like I don't. But I'm with you. I like this idea. You can help me save time because we all want to save more time, right? We
Mhm.
all want that work-life balance. We all want to be more efficient. And if AI can help us do that, now it's a matter of figuring out what can I do to actually leverage it. And there are solutions out there to make it work, but we need to know how to implement those. So if I said I'm
Absolutely.
not techie, I don't have the patience for it, I don't have the time for it, how can I make that work, Manoj?
I'll give you a few things here, right?
Okay.
Um, uh, I meditate a lot. So, one time, when I talk to people about meditation, they say I don't have time to
Yep.
meditate, and then I tell them I think you should meditate even more. Like if I meditate 20 minutes, you should meditate 1 hour, because it'll give you that time back. So I completely understand the sentiment that if you're not techie, if you don't have time, I will still say make an effort to understand it, because this is a technology wave like no other. It not only impacts you and your business, it impacts your children, their children, your community, your nation. So I believe there is no way to say I don't have time. So try to understand it at a basic level. That next step is where you need to decide what is more important to you, money or time? Because there are two equations in this world. If you want to get something, you have to invest one of these two things. Either your money to speed things up, you can work with an expert like myself, or hire somebody to speed things up for you, and you have to spend money. Or you invest your time and learn the things on your own, and you get what you want. So this is a decision completely in your court, and you say, okay, I don't think I have the budget. Let me just roll up my sleeves and just gather some information and get going. Or you can say, okay, I've heard enough. I really want to get ahead in this game. Like, we are working with so many businesses now who recognize this tsunami of AI coming. It's a tsunami. Okay. And I'll give you some numbers to put it in perspective. But they are recognizing that, hey, I need to get ahead, otherwise in 5 years I may be out of business. So we are helping businesses like music schools, accounting firms, marketing agencies, whole bunch of innovators, thought leaders, business leaders are recognizing what this means for their business, and they are trying to get ahead as quickly as possible. To put it in perspective, what this opportunity is, the CEO of IBM, and this guy knows a lot, right? CEO of IBM has said AI is going to add about $10 trillion to the world GDP by 2030. Okay. So let me put it in perspective. 10 trillion is very difficult to put it in, wrap your head around. With 10 trillion, you can buy half of the America, half of USA. Okay.
Wow.
Imagine, and this is just 7 years. And the current GDP, world GDP is $96 trillion. So the total world's wealth, 10% of it will be added in the next 7 years by AI. That's how big the opportunity is. Right?
By AI. Why? Because it's going to be there for more efficiencies?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, but to stay on this topic then of time, because I love that topic. I really, really love that topic. What would I do today? Is this like connecting my, and I'm just going to go really bare bones here. Is this like connecting my Google Calendar to something, some AI platform? Like, what is that actual, what am I doing? If I walked away from today's show and go, this guy's amazing. I'm in. I am in. What would I do first?
See, as I said, like, this is like asking me what kind of spouse I will like, right? Everybody is different.
Okay, I want to save time. Is that more specific? Like if I said I want to save time?
Yes. Then I will say, okay, let me ask you, let's look at your calendar.
I like the way you did that, by the way. This is like asking me which type of spouse I want.
Yeah. So, where are you spending your time? You said, a small business owner spends a lot of time prospecting, right?
Sure. Yep.
Prospecting is a huge thing. Networking, prospecting.
Follow up. The prospecting would be mixed with marketing. We could talk about CRM tracking.
Exactly. So let's say you spend about 15 hours a week on these activities, right? Mm-hmm. Now I will say, okay, let's do a quick research. I will deploy 3 tools for you in your business today, which will eliminate those 15 hours and offload it to AI. So your calendar will be managed, your sales call will be booked on your calendar, a marketing material will be produced and posted automatically on social media. All of that will be done for you. And now you're left with like real core of your business, which you are a genius at, which nobody can match, right? Now those 15 hours that you saved, you can spend with your family, or you can actually start to take on more clients. Does that make sense?
So it does make sense. So then the question becomes, I guess now it's a matter of getting more specific, because I'm still sitting here just layman's terms going, I get it. Like here, Chat GPT, right? First off, enlighten us. Chat GPT is not the only AI platform out there, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's just the popular one. Would that be the right way to say it?
Yeah. The breakthrough that Chat GPT brought about was that they encapsulated human knowledge and made it very, very easy for lay people to just sort of interact with it, ask any question. And so those are some real big innovations they came out with. But AI has been around since the 70s.
The 70s? Yes. So is it that Chat GPT actually made this thing like real?
Yeah. You
Okay.
know what happens is, like, a lot of people think that Henry Ford invented the the motor car, but he actually just invented the assembly line. A motor vehicle was invented before that, but what assembly line did was it made the vehicle affordable for everyone. So when that happens, everyone starts to realize, oh, this is just such a powerful technology. So Chat GPT brought it to the masses. But if you look at how much wealth AI has already generated, name any rich person in this world. Elon Musk, AI. Jeff Bezos, AI. Mark Zuckerberg, AI. Everything has been, in the past 20 years, trillions and trillions of dollars have already been generated by AI. But now the common person can realize the value and say, oh, I can use it in my business. It's not only for these large corporations or people with deep pockets, it's for everyone.
So, do we have an example of a platform, or is there a few platforms you would suggest if I said around, and very specifically around the idea of time?
Mhm, mhm.
What would you
Yeah,
recommend? Like if I said today, okay, I'm in. What
yeah.
would I go download, purchase? Where would I go to get this platform that's going to help me manage my calendar?
See, I can give you some tools, but the
Okay.
thing is that AI is moving so fast. Our focus is highly customized solutions for business owners, and we work with them. It's like you can go to the Marks warehouse and buy a suit for yourself for $200, or you can go to custom tailor and say, okay, I want this
Yeah.
fabric, I want these buttons, I want this stitching, and I want it to be fitting me perfectly, right? So we are in the latter sort of part where we sit down with our client and we say, okay, what exactly is your dream scenario? Let's figure it out and let's build that system for you. So calendar, I'll drop one name. So go look for calendar.ai. Calendar with a K, not with a C. Look for calendar.ai. It's a new application, and there's going to be many more similar to these, but this is the one that you can start experimenting with, where it will start booking calls for you on your calendar.
Interesting. See, because when I look at my calendar and I think about the way we operate with my team, there are certain things that get plugged into the calendar based on appointments and schedules, meetings with clients. Then there's other things that need to be booked in based on my time of those activities, like you say, that some of them are redundant. They happen every single day, and that's just part of building a business. Then there's some that have to go in there that, Wednesday could be different than Tuesday or different than Thursday. So how to plug those times in. So I guess the question, I beg the question that says now, I imagine the simple answer is yes, they can do it. I sit there going, I still can't wrap my head around how would this system understand what I need to be doing, let's say tomorrow, to create efficiencies in my world.
See, AI is evolving, so it will learn as you deploy these systems in your business. So think of it as like buying shoes, right? When you
Yep.
buy new shoes, they will take some time to break in. They will, to adjust to the contours of your foot and all of that stuff. So the idea is that don't expect that everything is going to be all perfect plug and play on day one, but at least you're taking the first steps towards that, and you are improving every day. So I mean, don't think of AI as like the panacea to every pain that you have, but
Okay.
it is a very very good medicine that will help you avoid surgery and get you 90% feeling better tomorrow. But the 10% will take more adjustment, some more tweaks and more tools, or experimenting with more tools. This is, I cannot stress this enough. Right now we are at the very beginning of this AI revolution, even though it has been around since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
When the technology gets in the hands of the masses, that's when the real clock starts. So imagine when automobile industry was just starting in the 1920s. The vehicles were polluting the air. There was no safety. You had to use hand crank to start the vehicle. and today you have ultra luxury vehicles, in 100 years, which can be like, literally people live in those, right? Literally people live in these automobiles. So how far has technology come in 100 years? Now imagine, where AI is going to take you in 100 years, let alone
Wow.
100 years. Like in as I told you, like, in 10 years, I believe there's going to be single person companies going public.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe, like, driving will be illegal in the next 10 years for humans.
That's
Okay.
scary.
No, it's not scary at all.
Why?
It's
But
not.
that's scary if I don't have the control and the freedom over where I want to go, what I want to do.
This
You're saying
is
the
this
car
is
will drive for me?
Yes, because humans have this, this notion of this freedom and control, which is totally a myth. When you fly in an airplane, do you know who's flying?
The computer.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And why is that? Because it's more efficient. It never sleeps. It never gets tired. Imagine the number of road accidents that will be saved when cars just talk to each other and they know exactly where to go.
You know what? Listen, I think this AI stuff is really cool. Okay. And I might even at this point say I'll take AI over the government's regulations because those guys don't know what they're up to. Right.
Mhm.
Talk about that. Now, the scary part becomes you mix the government with AI and have the control over where we can and can't go. I think that's a whole nother can of worms. And that's something that I think society in and of itself needs to really reconsider in allowing all of these machines to start to take over. I mean, we saw this in movies 20, 30, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, probably. We saw this stuff in movies of like, the robots are taking over. I think we're just allowing this stuff to happen right now. And
So
it paints a scary picture, but I do from the angle you're coming from, I do see the world of opportunities it presents. I just got to tell you, I want to drive my own car because I like driving my own car, and I certainly don't want the car telling me where I can and can't go.
sure. So I
That's my
think
own
you
two
are.
cents.
And that's fine. That's fine. It seems like you really love your car. So let me paint another picture for you. It's not like driving will not be accessible to you, but there may be reserved parts of the city where you can drive. Like, just imagine 80 years ago, the roads used to be full of horse carts
Yeah,
going back and forth.
yeah.
Now, can you imagine a horse cart in the middle of a freeway today?
Oh, disaster. I can't
Exactly.
stand driving behind the big tractor on the 2-lane road,
Exactly.
right? Because you
Exactly.
just can't pass them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's now I hope that puts it in perspective, because if 90% of the cars are being driven efficiently and 10% of the humans are like sort of causing a congestion, it's not going to be good. But you can say, okay, here is a track for you to go drive, or
Right.
there is a trail or whatever. So the idea here is this, right? People who think, I mean, Hollywood has not done a good job in sort of depicting what AI is. AI is just a tool. Okay. So when people say AI is going to take over the world, it's like electricity is going to take over the world. All you have to do is switch it off and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not like it doesn't have an agenda, it doesn't have vendetta against humans. And it's it's a human mind creating these anxieties, these fears about the future, because that's who we are, right? The unknown is always scary for us. But if you look at history, this has been a repeating cycle again and again and again, right? Year 2000, everybody was freaking out because of Y2K.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. You
Food
know
is
what we
not.
did? Like we on New Year's Eve that day, we were in like somebody's. It was a cabin, a log house. So we had a big party there. You couldn't see the neighbors. You couldn't see the street lights. Sorry, this is totally sidebar. At 12 o'clock, Y2K, if you remember, at 12 o'clock, I went and found the main power to the cabin and I pulled the power. People were losing their mind. Anyways, I laughed for about 2 minutes. I turned the power back on. It was funny, but sidebar.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you see, that's the thing. Like, if you cannot imagine it, then our protective senses kick in, and they're like, "Oh, that is scary." But I can tell you, just look at human nature. We fight with each other. There's only one species on this planet that fights with each other, that organizes, this war scenario. And these wars happen because of generations of suppression and trauma and jealousy. And these kind of things are not the realm of AI. AI algorithms are not jealous of each other. They're not like, trying to figure out, okay, who's going to rule the world. That's us humans doing that. So let's not project our fears onto that. And these transitions happen slowly. It's not like tomorrow. Like, imagine you mentioned 2000. If you go back to 2000, you would have never imagined that, in 10 years, all your life will be controlled by one device in your pocket.
No,
Right?
and when you brought up the whole thing about the time, when AI came, and we
Yeah.
talk about this like post and pre, I look at that with
Yeah.
the social media. I look
Yeah.
at that with literally with the smartphone. I think to
Yeah. Yeah.
myself, that right there has totally changed our worlds,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. But it happened gradually, right?
Yeah.
You didn't notice it. You eased into it, and that's how
This
things
is
will
where we're
happen.
at.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so here, let me ask you this then. From a marketing perspective, because we said this earlier on in the show about the ability to be able to go back in, or to have it let us know from a prospecting perspective, who's interested or what are they interested in. Is there something specific, like as we mentioned, one of those platforms? Is there something specific from a marketing perspective, um, potentially with posting content, that I can leverage AI for right now to help me speed up that process? Because, and Manoj, I've seen some platforms, some that will take, let's say, a long form podcast just like this. You'll upload it, they'll chop it up into like 60 different videos and say, now you've got a bunch of content. And quite frankly, for me, I've looked at the content, the way they chop it up. It's something that literally just slices, just like you'd slice a cucumber or something. There's no rhyme or reason for where it's getting sliced. They're just slicing. So the content doesn't come out as compelling. It doesn't grab attention. It doesn't really deliver the message you want to. We've got a team of real human beings that do that, and they're awesome at what they do. Right. So, from a marketing perspective, is there something that we could be leveraging now to help us with efficiencies?
See, again, all those platforms that you mentioned, they are
Yep.
evolving. I mean, they are getting better at it. But I will advise people to do few things with AI today. As
Okay.
we said earlier, emotions are the realm of humans, and those are the things that move mountains. Those are the things that will force your prospects or audience to take action. So start to think about hyper personalization. What I mean by that is, think about when somebody lands on your page, how can you understand who they are? And believe me, today you can track a lot of details on each visitor.
Yep.
Right? So you can know their demographics, their interests, and whatnot. And think about, let's say you are running a travel site, let's say,
Mhm.
and you have excellent property to rent out. Now, if you determine a 20-year-old bachelorette has landed on your page, you may change the headline of that property and say, take a weekend away with your friends or attend this music festival or something like that. That is highly personalized towards her persona. But if you see a 45-year-old person with a family of two lands on your page, you can say, hey, take your family out and reconnect with your kids in this cabin. It's the same property now packaged in a different way
Right.
that resonates with who that person is. It's a very small example, but these are the kind of things that you can start to do. See, most of the people, my frustration is most of the people are using AI to do the things what they are doing today just faster, right? But AI is a total paradigm shift. So if you start to think about that shift, you start to understand, how do I connect better with an individual, not mass, not giving a speech to 12,000 people, but giving an individual speech to each person in that crowd of 12,000, because that's when I will really connect with them.
Our marketing company, when we started this 18 years ago, we used a technology called variable data publishing. And I think I might have shared that with you. Now, it's a very simplistic form, and it is manually driven by, let's say, the salesperson who enters the contact list. But I can now select from a series of different variables to hyper personalize the content.
Mhm.
And that's what variable data did for us when we said, okay, well, we'll give you the data points, we'll give you the options. It's pretty much a multiple choice questionnaire with no wrong answer. Just select the most appropriate stuff. What
Mhm.
you're now saying here, and this is super awesome, is essentially figuring out how to grab those data points without having to have either the end use like the client, the contact, whoever enter it, or having the salesperson, business owner enter it. Now it's just a matter of the data points based on the fact that somebody visited something.
Yeah, exactly,
What,
exactly. Not only that, but you see what we say, how we say it, it presents a lot about us as humans, right?
sure.
So even if these days, like, AI is so powerful, you can they can use 3 seconds of your voice to replicate your entire way of speaking. So the same way, if you read somebody's LinkedIn profile, within seconds you can get a lot of their personality right away, right?
And then we can
So
pull from there.
yeah, exactly.
Is there a certain platform we should be looking into, or is this where somebody contacts you to say, hey, we need something custom built?
Um, Either one is fine. I think the platform on LinkedIn is something like humanatics or something. Again, I don't. I'm always. I don't ever make a list of these tools. I'm like a Michelin star chef. I say, tell me what flavors do you like today, and let me just do my magic and cook you something. So I try to use that approach, because I always believe in, like, highly personalized solutions to begin with, because those are the things that scale with your business. But yeah, I mean, Humanetics, I think, is a company that is creating that. I mean, there are so many of them out there, but I'm just sharing the sort of the generic concepts with you, right?
Okay. Watching the time, I would say I've got a lot more questions for you, but today we're going to leave them to the next time we do this. But I do want to ask you before we go, end of the day, after you've done all this stuff in a day, how do you know it's been a successful day for you?
Well, we have a few long-term missions and long-term goals in mind. One is, it may sound crazy, but one of my personal life missions is to help 20 people win the Nobel Prize. Okay, so
I'll be one of those people if you want. I mean,
absolutely, absolutely,
I got you, Manoj. I got you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it, and again, you may not see the link between AI and all of this, what I'm saying, but there is a very deep link about how somebody can actually rise to that pinnacle of success and win a Nobel Prize using the power of technology. Wow. So when we say whether this day was successful, we just measure, did we get a little bit closer to that goal? Did we put a little bit message out there? This podcast, this conversation, it has already made this day successful, because we have put that message out there and we have spread that impact already. And we are still, like, it's still not noon yet here. So when you put these long-term perspectives and then you take little step at a time, that's when you know that you're heading in the right direction, right?
Helping people. I like the answer.
Yeah.
Anywhere that people should connect with you? Any final words before we sign off today?
Yeah, I mean, the best way is just Google my name. The first link that comes up, maybe my website, maybe my LinkedIn. I just try to keep it simple. So just hit me up.
Cool. Manoj, thank you very, very much for enlightening us today on the limitless possibilities of AI, and absolutely just a powerful conversation. I think everybody needs to go back, listen to it once again, pick up on all the points, and then start to do some research. I'm sure there's a million places to go and do research, and that might just start with going to Google and starting to research. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is not something to be missed. This is not something that is to be taken lightly. Your future and your family's future actually depends upon this.
Manoj, thank you. This has been amazing. I appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
I'll be right back with you. Don't go anywhere. You are either watching us live, listening to this recording. Maybe you're on one of your favorite podcast platforms. Maybe you went to my website, MindShare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle, our 31-page ebook, including your free 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you get more market share. Or might as well, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote talk, ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with us. Again, a reminder that one-to-one coaching prices are going up on September 1st. Lock in today. Book your first call for September. Stay enjoying your summer vacation, but lock in right now. All inquiries, again, just go to mindshow101.com, connect with my team. Of course, don't forget to rate this podcast by going to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Big 5 stars, nice little review. We wouldn't mind. We thank you. We have been voted or ranking in the top 2% globally for all podcasts across every category. And we're just voted number 25 out of the top 40 best real estate podcasts in North America. So that's a very cool thing. And I thank you all for tuning in on a regular basis. Without you, we don't get there. So thank you. If you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at MindShare101, on Instagram at David Greenspan101. I want to thank Kits Keep in Touch Systems and REM Magazine for sponsoring this episode of the MindShare podcast. Be sure to visit our site to learn more about what these powerful companies will do to help you grow your business. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.